It's me, Damaris. Don't you remember me?
Who allowed this beggar inside this compound?
Do you know this dirty beggar?
I don't know this beggar. I have never seen this woman before in my life. Security, come and grab this beggar out from this compound.
I stayed hungry so you can eat. Promise to take care of me. Promise not to let me down. The one who stayed hungry so I can save up enough money for your school upkeep.
The sun hung low over the mansion, painting everything gold except the moment unfolding in its driveway. Keaton stood there in his expensive charcoal suit, every thread screaming success, every button whispering wealth. The woman beside him, Seraphine, draped in purple silk and diamonds, watched with the kind of smile that comes from people who've never known what it means to choose between dignity and survival. And then there was Damaris, gaunt, trembling, holding letters that still smelled like hope from 3 years ago. Keaton's voice cut through the air, sharp and cold. "Security, come and grab this beggar out from this compound." The words hit Damaris like physical blows. Beggar, as if 3 years of starvation had a different name, as if sacrifice was just another word for delusion. 2 guards materialized, solid, efficient, unmoved by the human mathematics of suffering. Their hands clamped around her arms like iron decisions. "No, wait, Keaton!" Her voice cracked, raw and desperate. "It's me, Damaris, the fishseller who borrowed money to help you go to school." They dragged her backward. Her bare feet scraped concrete, leaving trails she couldn't see but could feel in every nerve. "I stayed hungry so I can save up enough money for your school upkeep." The words tumbled out between sobs, each one a coin she saved, a meal she skipped, a night she cried herself to sleep believing sacrifice was the same thing as love. Keaton turned away. Just turned away, like she was a commercial interrupting his favorite show. Blood tastes like copper and regret. Damaris learned this as she bit down on her own lip to stop herself from screaming his name one more time. The security guards had already thrown her onto the pavement. Her palms were shredded from catching herself on concrete. Her best dress, the blue one she'd hand-stitched over 3 months of nights, was ripped at the shoulder, exposing skin that had never seen the judgment of city eyes. But the physical pain was mercy compared to what was happening inside her chest. I have never seen this woman before in my life. 6 words. That's all it took to erase 3 years of sacrifice, 3 years of starvation, 3 years of loving someone so completely that you forget to love yourself. Keaton had looked directly at her, into eyes that had cried for him, hands that had bled for him, a face that had aged years beyond its time for him. And he'd made her disappear with a lie, so casual it didn't even require effort. The woman beside him, draped in silk and diamonds, had laughed. Not a polite laugh, a cruel one. The kind that comes from people who've never known what it means to choose between eating and survival. "Look at her," the woman had said, her voice dripping with disgust. "She probably followed him here from some dirty village. Security, get this beggar away from my husband before she contaminates something." My husband. Those 2 words had stopped Damaris's heart mid-beat. But this isn't where the story begins. Not really. Because to understand how love becomes poison, how devotion becomes destruction, how a girl selling fish by a river ends up broken outside a corporate tower begging a man to remember her name, you have to go back. back to when her hands went bleeding but were stained with fish scales and hope, back to when sacrifice felt like love instead of like suicide. This is the story of Damaris, the girl who gave everything, and Keaton, the boy who took it all and then pretended she never existed. But it's also the story of what happens when invisible becomes unignorable, when the person you erased decides to remind you that ghosts don't forget, that some debts can't be buried, that betrayal has a price, and sometimes the price isn't paid in revenge, it's paid in something far more devastating. They say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference, but they're wrong. The opposite of love is recognition withdrawn. It's being looked at like you're nothing by the person who once was your everything. And when that happens, when you're erased by the one you destroyed yourself for, you discover something terrifying. You can either die from it or you can rise from it. Damaris was about to learn which one hurt more. Before we go further into this story, tell me where you are watching from so I can send you a big hug and say thank you to you specially for watching our stories, subscribing, commenting, and always coming back for more intriguing stories at Folktales by FP. This means everything to this channel. Now, let's get back to our story. Kanda village didn't exist on any map that mattered. It was one of those forgotten places where poverty wasn't a condition, it was the weather. It rained on everyone equally. The only difference was how long you could stand in it before you drowned. Damaris had been standing in it for 22 years. Every morning began the same way. 4 a.m., darkness so thick you could taste it. The sound of roosters that somehow knew time better than any clock. Her body would wake up before her mind did, muscle memory pulling her from the thin mat on the floor she shared with her 2 younger sisters. She'd grab her basin, her knife, and the small pouch of coins she kept hidden in the roof thatch, and she'd slip out into the pre-dawn darkness like a ghost. The walk to the river took 40 minutes, no shoes. She'd sold her only pair 8 months ago when Mama needed medicine. The road was a mix of mud, rocks, and thorns that had turned the soles of her feet into leather over the years. She didn't feel pain there anymore. Her feet had learned to accept suffering as normal. By the time she reached the riverbank, the fishermen would already be bringing in their nets, their boats creaking against the small wooden dock. She'd buy what she could afford, usually the fish that were too small, too ugly, or too damaged to sell at the city market, the ones that dignity had forgotten. Then she'd sit on the same wooden stool at the same spot by the main road for 12 hours. Sometimes she'd sell everything by noon. Sometimes the sun would set and her basket would still be half full, and she'd have to choose. Keep the fish for her family to eat or sell them tomorrow at half price because they'd started to smell. She almost always chose to sell them. This was her life. This was her inheritance. This was all she thought she'd ever know. Until the morning, Keaton sat down in the dirt beside her and cried like his soul was breaking. She'd seen him around the village, of course. Everyone knew everyone in Kanda. Keaton was James the fisherman's son, the brilliant one who somehow taught himself advanced mathematics using borrowed textbooks with missing pages, the one with fire in his eyes that didn't match the resignation in everyone else's. But she'd never seen him cry. "They posted the results," he said, his voice raw and fractured. His school uniform was faded gray, held together with mismatched buttons. His feet were bare like hers. "I got the highest score in the district, maybe in the entire region. They said I could be university material. They said I could be anything." Damaris's heart lifted. "Keaton, that's incredible." "My father is dying," he cut her off, and the words landed like stones. "Liver failure. Maybe 4 months left," the clinic said. "And even if he wasn't dying, even if we had time, we don't have money. The university tuition is 150,000 francs. Do you know how much that is to people like us?" He looked at her then, really looked at her, and Damaris saw something in his eyes that reached into her chest and grabbed something vital. Desperation. Hope dying in real time, the specific kind of drowning that happens on dry land. "It doesn't matter how smart I am," he whispered. "Poverty doesn't care about potential." And in that moment, sitting on dirt beside her fish basket, Damaris made a decision that would eventually destroy her life. She decided to save his. That evening, Damaris didn't go straight home after selling her last fish. Instead, she walked to the old mango tree at the edge of the village, the one where children played during the day and lovers whispered during the night. She sat beneath its branches and pulled out a small metal tin from inside her wrapper. This tin was her secret, her future, her way out. Inside was every coin she had managed to save over 4 years of selling fish. Money her family didn't desperately need for food or medicine. Money she'd hidden by lying, telling Mama the fish sold for less than they did, telling Papa the supplier charged more than he actually did. Small lies that had accumulated into something precious. She'd been saving for his shop, just a small wooden stall at the market, but one that was hers, where she could sell not just fish, but dried goods, rice, oil, things with better margins, things that didn't rot in the sun. It was a dream so small it embarrassed her to say it out loud, but it was hers. She counted the money slowly, her fingers trembling. 87,000 francs. 4 years of her life, coin by coin. 4 years of skipped meals and won through clothes. 4 years of watching other girls her age get married, have children, build lives, while she chose tomorrow over today. Keaton needed 150,000 francs. She was more than halfway there, but halfway meant nothing when the university deadline was 3 weeks away. Halfway meant Keaton's dream died. Halfway meant that fire in his eyes would go out and he'd become like every other village boy, resigned, broken, old before his time. Damaris sat under that mango tree until the sun melted into the horizon, turning the sky the color of flames. And somewhere between dusk and dark, she made a choice that would haunt her for years. She would give Keaton everything she had, and then she would find a way to get him the rest. The next morning, she didn't go to the river. Instead, she went to Mr. Osei's house. Mr. Osei was the village moneylender, a man whose wealth came from other people's desperation. Everyone knew his rates were criminal. Everyone knew once you borrowed from him, you were trapped. But everyone also knew he had cash when you needed it. "I need to borrow 63,000 francs, Damaris said, standing in his doorway with her chin up and her hands steady, even though her heart was destroying itself inside her chest. Mr. Osei looked at her like a goat that had learned to speak. "You? What could you possibly need that much money for? And what could you possibly offer as collateral?" "I'll pay you back at 20% interest over 2 years. I have a plan to increase my fish sales. I'll work double. 30%, he interrupted, his smile showing teeth that had gone brown from chewing cola nuts. "And if you miss even one payment, the interest compounds weekly. You'll be working for me until you are my age, girl." Damaris felt something die inside her, but she heard herself say, "I agree." She signed papers she barely understood, took money that felt like it was burning through her hands. And that afternoon, she found Keaton sitting by the river, staring at the water like it held answers. "Here," she said, placing a cloth bundle in his hands. He opened it slowly. His eyes went wide. "Damaris, how much is this?" "Enough," she said simply. "Enough for your tuition, your books, your transport to the capital, and 3 months of food and lodging while you find a part-time job." Keaton's hands started shaking. "I can't take this. This is your future. You're my friend," Damaris interrupted, her voice firm even though tears were threatening. And friends help each other reach their dreams. You're going to do something important with your life, Keaton. I believe that. I've always believed that. So take this money and make me right. He stared at her for a long time, and something passed between them that felt like a promise neither of them spoke out loud. I'll pay you back, he finally said, his voice thick with emotion. And Damaris, when I make it in the city, when I become someone, I'll send for you. I'll take care of you the way you're taking care of me right now. She smiled. It was the kind of smile that held hope and heartbreak in equal measure. Just don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the people who believed in you when no one else did. Never, he said, and he meant it. In that moment, he truly meant it. I could never forget you, Damaris. You're saving my life. But memory, Damaris would learn, is the first thing ambition kills. 3 weeks later, Keaton left for the capital city on the early morning bus. Damaris stood at the roadside waving until the vehicle disappeared into a cloud of red dust, her heart somehow full and empty at the same time. She told herself this was right, this was good, this was love in its purest form, wanting someone else's happiness more than your own. She was 22 years old, and she believed sacrifice was romantic. The months that followed were the hardest of Damaris's life, and that was saying something, because her entire life had been hard. She woke up at 3 a.m. instead of 4 a.m. She walked to 3 different rivers to get the best prices on fish. She worked until 9 p.m., selling by lamplight to evening travelers. She ate once a day, usually just cassava or plantain, nothing with protein, nothing with substance. Her body started changing in ways that frightened her. Her clothes hung loose, her cheekbones became sharp enough to cut. Her period stopped coming. Her hair, which had once been thick and beautiful, started thinning. When she looked in the cracked mirror at home, sometimes she didn't recognize the woman staring back. But worse than the physical deterioration was the debt. Mr. Ose came every Friday like clockwork, his shadow falling across her fish stall like a threat. The 30% interest was destroying her. Some weeks she could barely make the minimum payment. Other weeks she missed it entirely, and the debt grew like a living thing, feeding on her failure. "You're 3 weeks behind," Mr. Ose said one Friday afternoon, his voice pleasant but his eyes cold. "That's an additional 18,000 francs added to your principal. At this rate, Damaris, you'll be paying me until you are 50 years old." "I'll catch up," she whispered, even though she knew it was a lie. But Keaton's letters kept her going. They came every 2 weeks at first, delivered to the village post office, written in his careful handwriting on cheap paper. He told her about the university, the massive lecture halls, the libraries with thousands of books, the professors who spoke about ideas that changed the world. He told her about his part-time job washing dishes at a restaurant near campus. He told her he missed home, missed the simplicity, missed people who understood where he came from. He told her she was the reason he was surviving. Damaris read those letters so many times, the paper started to tear at the folds. She kept them in the same tin where her savings used to be. And on her worst days, when the hunger made her dizzy and the debt made her want to walk into the river and not come back, she'd read his words and remember why she was doing this. So she made another decision. A decision that would push her past the point of return. She started sending Keaton money. every week without fail. She'd go to the money transfer office in the next village over and wire him whatever she could spare. Sometimes it was 5,000 francs, sometimes it was only 2,000, but it always went. She told herself it was temporary, just until he got established, just until he found a better job, just until he didn't need her anymore. But temporary became 6 months, then a year, then 18 months, and Keaton's letters started changing. They came less frequently, once a month, then once every 6 weeks. They became shorter, less personal. The handwriting looked rushed. He stopped asking about her life and only talked about his new friends, his improving grades, his growing connections. He mentioned his professor's important names. He mentioned restaurants she'd never heard of. He mentioned a life that was moving further and further away from anything she could touch. But he never mentioned paying her back. He never mentioned the sacrifice. He never mentioned coming home. And Damaris, trapped in her exhaustion and her debt and her love, told herself this was fine. This was what investment looked like. You plant seeds and wait for harvest. You give now and receive later. She didn't know that Keaton had already forgotten her name. The capital city swallowed Keaton whole and rebuilt him into something new. Something that didn't smell like fish and river water. His first year was survival. Cramped room, 1 meal daily, dishwashing at night, lectures during the day. But Professor Kwame noticed his brilliance and connected him with Chief Mensah, a logistics mogul who needed a driver. Keaton had never driven before. But 2 weeks later, he stood outside a mansion that looked like a fever dream, employed by one of the wealthiest men in the country. He became excellent, not just good, flawless. The car gleamed. He anticipated needs before they were spoken. Within 6 months, he wasn't just the driver, he was Chief Mensah's trusted assistant, handling errands, small business matters, becoming indispensable. That's when everything changed. Seraphine, Chief Mensah's only daughter, 24, educated in London. She moved through the mansion like she owned gravity itself. During a thunderstorm blackout, she found Keaton in the garage reading a business textbook by flashlight. "You're the driver," she said, surprised. "Reading?" "I'm studying business administration at university, ma'am. This job pays my tuition." Something shifted in her eyes. Interest. Most people want to work for wealth. You want to build it. "I'm from a village where ambition dies young," I said. "I don't want to waste. Tell me about your village." And Keaton did. But he edited, softened, removed the mud houses, the hunger, his father's death. He didn't mention Damaris. He painted a picture of quaint poverty, the kind that sounded romantic from a distance. Seraphine looked at him differently when the lights came back on. "You're not like the others." That night, alone in his room, Keaton pulled out Damaris's latest letter. She'd sent 3,000 francs again. Her handwriting looked shaky. "Keaton, I hope you are well. Things are hard here, but I'm managing. I believe in you. D." Guilt gnawed at him. She was starving for money he no longer desperately needed, drowning in debt because of him. He should write back, should tell her to stop, should visit. But then he imagined bringing Damaris here. her village dress next to Seraphine's designer clothes, her fish-stained hands next to manicured nails. The shame was overwhelming. Keaton folded the letter into a drawer with all the others and told himself he'd deal with it later. He'd pay her back eventually. Just not now. Not when he was so close to becoming someone new. Not when forgetting was easier than remembering. 3 months later, Chief Mensah collapsed. Massive heart attack. 3 days later, he died. Seraphine was shattered. In her grief, she clung to Keaton. He was steady, handled arrangements, never asked for anything. "I don't know how I'd survive this without you," she told him, eyes swollen. "Everyone wants something, but you just help." Keaton took her hand. "You don't have to survive it alone." After the funeral, the lawyer read the will. Seraphine inherited everything. Properties, businesses, millions. But there was also a letter from her father. She read it privately, then told Keaton, "My father wrote that I should marry someone who values me, not my money. Someone with integrity, who proved their character before knowing I was rich." She looked at Keaton. "You didn't know who I was when we met. You worked hard before it benefited you. Keaton, I think my father would have approved of you." This was the moment to say, "A girl back home sacrificed everything for me. I owe her a debt I can never repay." But Keaton looked around the mansion, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the life he dreamed of, and chose silence. "Your father was wise," he said, "and you deserve someone who sees you, not your bank account." 2 months later, they were engaged. Back in Kanda village, Damaris had just sent her weekly money transfer. The clerk knew her by name now. "Still supporting that young man? She's going to be someone important," Damaris said. "I'm investing in his future." That evening, a traveler from the capital brought gossip. "Biddest wedding of the year. Chief Mensah's daughter marrying some lucky man. Used to be a driver, now marrying into millions. Was name Keaton something." Damaris's basket slipped from her hands. Fish scattered like silver bodies in debt. Married? Keaton was getting married, and he hadn't told her, hadn't written, had just moved on while she starved and drowned in debt. That night, Damaris made a decision. She borrowed more money from Mr. Osei, money that made him smile like a predator, bought the cheapest bus ticket, packed her best clothes, and carried a handmade bracelet crafted from fish bones and river stones, a gift she'd never had courage to give. 3 days later, she stood outside Golden Gate decorated for a wedding. She smoothed her simple dress, clutched her gift, and knocked. She had no idea that in 5 minutes, her world would shatter beyond repair. The security guard looked at Damaris like a stray dog. "Yes?" "Please, I need to see Keaton. I'm a friend from his village. I came to congratulate him." The guard's eyes traveled from her worn sandals to her faded dress. He laughed. Cruel, dismissive. "A friend? Look at you. Look at this place. Does it look like people here have friends like you?" "Please, just tell him Damaris is here. He'll know me." The guard sighed, annoyed. "Wait here. Don't move." 10 minutes felt like hours. Then she saw him, Keaton, walking toward the gate in an expensive suit, hair perfect, moving with confidence that came from belonging. "Keaton!" His name burst from her lips. He stopped 10 feet away. His face went pale. For 1 second, she saw recognition. Then she watched him decide to forget. "Who are you?" Ice. Empty. Damaris laughed nervously. "Keaton, stop! It's me, Damaris, from Kanda." "I don't know you. I've never seen you before." Time stopped. "What? Of course you know me. I'm the one who gave you everything. I sent money for 3 years. I starved. I went into debt. I said I don't know you. Security, remove this delusional woman from my property immediately. I have proof. She pulled out the photograph, both of them under the mango tree, smiling, young. Look, this is us. Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, fear, then nothing. That could be anyone. You probably found it somewhere. People like you make up connections to successful people, hoping for money. People like you. Guards grabbed her arms. She struggled with desperation, not violence. Keaton, please, why? What did I do wrong? I gave you everything. Get this crazy woman away before my fiancé sees. They dragged her backward. Her gift fell. The fishbone bracelet shattered across the driveway. Please, she sobbed. I just wanted to see you, to know my sacrifice meant something. Keaton turned away, walked back to his mansion, his bride, his new life, without looking back. The guards threw her onto pavement. She landed hard, palms bleeding, dress torn. She curled up and sobbed, guttural, animal sounds from somewhere primal. People walked past. No one stopped. This wasn't heartbreak. This was erasure. Damaris didn't know how long she sat there. Time meant nothing. The sky darkened. Wedding music grew louder inside. Laughter, joy. People who'd never chosen between eating and surviving. Child, are you hurt? A gentle voice. Female. An older woman in a housemaid's uniform stood above her. Maybe 60. Gray streaked hair, kind face. I'm fine, Damaris croaked. You're bleeding. You've been here 2 hours. That's not fine. The woman crouched down. I'm Nala. I walk nearby. What happened? Something about her tone, honest, not pitying, broke through Damaris's numbness. I came to see someone I helped. He said he didn't know me. Understanding flooded Nala's eyes. Ah! One of those stories. He destroyed me. Then looked at me like I never existed. Like 3 years of sacrifice were lies I made up. Nala extended her hand. Come. You can't stay on the street. I have a room. Nothing fancy, but clean and safe. I have no money. Did I ask for money? Come, child. In Nala's tiny room, the whole story poured out. Everything. The fish selling, the savings, Mr. Osei's loan, years of sending money. The letters that stopped. Keaton's denial. Nala listened quietly. Men like that forget where they came from because remembering means facing shame. He knows what you did, but acknowledging you means he didn't build success alone. People like him can't bear that truth. What do? I have nothing. No money to go home. I owe more than I can repay in 10 years. Nala thought carefully. I run a housekeeping service. I have a position opening tomorrow. Good family, fair pay, live in. Interested? Desperation overrode pride. Yes. Thank you. Rest tonight. Tomorrow, I'll take you to your new employers. They're newlyweds. Just married today. Very wealthy. The husband came from nothing, worked his way up. Nala paused. His name is Keaton something. The room tilted. Ice flooded Damaris's veins. No, that's him. That's the man who... Nala's eyes widened. Oh no, I didn't know. Please, anywhere but there. I understand, but Damaris, I don't have another position right now. You need work immediately, but I won't force you. Damaris's mind raced. Working for Keaton felt impossible, but going home meant explaining her wasted years, meant drowning in debt, and some broken part of her needed to understand, needed to see him remember what he tried to forget. I'll take the job. Morning came too quickly. Damaris dressed in the blue housemaid uniform, white headscarf. The woman in the mirror looked hollow, used up, invisible. Perfect for disappearing into someone else's life. They took a bus across the city. When those golden gates appeared, Damaris's blood turned ice. I can't, she whispered. But the gates were opening. A servant called them inside. Damaris walked through, past gardens, to the front door. The same mansion where yesterday she'd been garbage. A beautiful woman appeared, elegant, glowing with happiness. Seraphine. Ah, Nala, this is the new maid? Yes, ma'am. Damaris. Very hardworking, very trustworthy. Seraphine studied her with polite disinterest. She looks capable. Can she cook? Very well, ma'am. Good. We need someone reliable. Then footsteps. Heavy, male, familiar. Damaris's breath stopped. Keaton appeared. His eyes met hers. Every drop of color drained from his face. His mouth opened, no sound. His body went rigid with terror. Damaris kept her face neutral, empty. She wouldn't break again. Darling, Seraphine turned. This is our new housemaid. Is something wrong? You look pale. Keaton's eyes locked on Damaris, pleading, terrified. Say something. Please don't say anything. Damaris stared back, silent. I'm fine, Keaton managed, voice strangled. Welcome. The word was poison. The weeks that followed were hell. Damaris cleaned floors Keaton walked on, washed clothes he wore, cooked food he ate, and constantly felt his eyes watching, afraid. He avoided her when possible, but avoidance was impossible in a house. The first week, she cooked jollof rice, perfect, the way she'd made it in the village when he visited. At dinner, Keaton took one bite, his face twisted. This rice is terrible, too salty, overcooked, we can't eat this. Seraphine tasted it, confused. It tastes fine, actually, quite good. No, it's terrible. This maid is incompetent. Damaris stood in the corner, head bowed, hands trembling. She knew what he was doing, creating reasons to push her away. The second week, she washed his favorite shirt carefully, the way she used to in the village. Next morning, Keaton stormed in. You ruined my shirt. The color is faded. You're careless. Seraphine examined it. Keaton, the shirt looks perfect. You don't understand quality. This maid is useless. Every day brought new complaints. Nothing Damaris did was right. Seraphine started noticing. Why are you so hard on her? She works better than any we've had. I just have standards, Keaton said, jaw tight. But Damaris understood. Every complaint was fear. Every criticism was guilt. He was terrified she'd tell Seraphine the truth. So she stayed silent, did her work, endured. The third week, everything changed. Late evening, Damaris cleaned the study alone. The door closed softly behind her. Keaton stood there, eyes different, not afraid, something darker. "Damaris," he said softly, moving closer. She stood quickly, backing away. "Sir, I'm finishing. I'll leave now." "Wait." He blocked the door. "We should talk." "There's nothing to discuss, sir. I know I hurt you, but seeing you here every day." He moved closer. "I remember everything. How beautiful you are. How you helped me." His hand reached for her face. Damaris jerked back. "Don't touch me. I made a mistake rejecting you, but we can fix this. I can help you. Money, better quarters, anything you want." "Stop!" Ice in her voice. "You're married. I'm your housemaid. This is wrong." "Seraphine doesn't need to know. We can be careful." "Get away from me." Sick rage flooded her. He denied her existence, now wanted her as his secret. He grabbed her arm. "You don't understand." She yanked free and fled to her room. The harassment continued. He cornered her in hallways, whispered she was beautiful, touched her when passing. Damaris avoided him completely. Cleaned when he was out, ate quickly, disappeared. But Keaton grew desperate. One afternoon, Seraphine went shopping. Keaton locked the kitchen door with Damaris inside. "Unlock this door now." "Not until you listen. Having you here, seeing you, wanting you, I'm going crazy." "That's not my problem. You chose this life. You denied me. Now, unlock this door or I scream." She grabbed a knife. Protection, not threat. He stepped back, unlocked the door. She fled. That night, Damaris decided to tell Seraphine everything. But morning brought chaos first. Seraphine burst outside furious. Keaton followed, looking panicked. "You disgusting snake!" Seraphine pointed at Damaris. "My husband confessed everything. How you've been throwing yourself at him, trying to seduce him. You came to our wedding to make a scene, then tricked your way in here." "Ma, that's not true. He's lying." "Lying? He came to me in tears, said you threatened him." Damaris looked at Keaton. He stood behind his wife, eyes down. Coward. "Keaton, tell her the truth. How you came to my room, how you tried to—" "See? Delusional," Seraphine screamed. "Get out." "Ma, I worked 6 months. Just pay me my wages." Seraphine laughed cruelly. "Pay a woman who tried to seduce my husband? You should be grateful I don't call the police." "Please," Damaris fell to her knees. "I have nowhere to go." "Guards, throw her out. If I see her again, I'll have her arrested." Guards grabbed her, dragged her through the house. As they reached the gate, Damaris saw Keaton, watching. Relief and guilt warred on his face. Their eyes met, and Damaris realized she could have destroyed him, could have proven proof, letters, bank records, but she hadn't. And that terrified him most. Damaris walked away from those gates with nothing. No money, no home, no hope. But she walked with something Keaton didn't expect. Fire that wouldn't die. She found Nala waiting down the street. The older woman had heard everything. "Come," she said quietly. "I have a proposition." In Nala's room, the truth emerged. Nala wasn't just a housekeeper. She was a retired businesswoman who'd been testing Damaris's character for months. I watched how you worked, your dignity, your silence when you could have destroyed him. Nala's eyes were sharp. That takes strength most people don't have. I'm expanding my business into a staffing agency. I need a partner, someone who understands struggle. Interested? For the first time in years, Damaris felt something besides pain. Hope. Yes. 6 months later, 2 parallel lives. Damaris ran her own staffing branch, training village girls who came to the city. She wasn't rich, but she was healing, laughing again, building genuine friendships. She'd let go of Keaton, not through revenge, but by choosing her own worth. Keaton's world collapsed without Damaris saying one word. Loan sharks found him, the company discovered his gambling theft, Seraphine discovered everything and left, taking their child. He lost his job, his home, his reputation. Keaton sat in a cheap motel, holding the broken fishbone bracelet, the one gift that was real. He finally understood what he'd destroyed. He tried finding Damaris to apologize. She'd blocked him completely. He would live knowing the one person who truly loved him was the one he could never reach again. Because Damaris learned the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming someone who doesn't need revenge at all. Sometimes your absence is the most devastating punishment. Thanks for watching till the end. Subscribe for more intriguing stories at Folktales by FP. See you in my next video.